I would like to call a meeting to order. We were short a member, and that's why we delayed the meeting a few minutes to hopefully have a member show up. But then in reviewing the ordinance or whatever created this committee, we do have enough members present for a quorum, so we will have a formal meeting, which I hereby call to order. We have some exciting news before we get to the roll call. We have 3 new members joining the city staff here at the city of Beaumont. So I would like for them to stand up and introduce themselves and indicate what position they are currently hired for. Who would like to start?
Absolutely, sir. My name is Gus Romo. Been added to your staff as Deputy City Manager, and I'm very grateful to be here. So, thank you.
You're welcome, welcome.
And Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Kirk Pelser. I've recently just started today, my first day. I'm the Economic Development Director and pleased, as Gus said, to be joining an exciting, dynamic team and look forward to great things.
Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you.
And good afternoon. My name is Laura James. I am the Economic Development Manager. I am coming in just in between Gus and Kirk. This is my 3rd week here, and I am likewise very excited to be joining a dynamic and growing team at a dynamic and growing city. Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome. Welcome.
Chair, if you'd like me to do roll call, I can.
Yes, please. We'll have roll call at this time.
Councilmember Martinez,
Here.
Councilmember Voigt, City Manager Elizabeth Gibbs.
Here.
Chair Betty Rader stated she would be out of town this evening, asked for an excused absence.
Okay.
Member Eben Brown. Economic Development Member Joe Matthews. Education Member Lysandra Payton. Here. Community Member Jason Doyle. Community Business Member Dejanay Taylor also stated she would like an excused absence this evening. Community Member Ron Rader.
Present.
Community Member or Vice Chair Richard Beneke.
Present.
Community Member Cesar Marufo also asked for an excused absence this evening. Industry expert member Vicki Brannick also asked for an excused absence this evening. Youth Council Member Dalen Brown.
Here.
Alternate member Kathleen Billinger also asked for an excused absence this evening. And alternate member Edward Gallardo.
Here. Okay. Do you have any action on requests for excused absences? You indicated that in the roll call vote. So at this time, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Could you all stand, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
We do have one requested adjustment, and that is to present item, I believe it's D2, prior to D1.
What was the request? Item B?
To switch the order of the 2 presentations today.
Okay. Okay.
We'd like to do D2 first.
D2.
D2.
Okay. 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 Conflict of interest disclosure. Do we have any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, any person may address the committee on any matter not on this agenda. If you wish to speak, please fill out a public comment form provided at the back table and give it to the committee chair or city clerk. There is a 3-minute limit on public comments. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person. State law prohibits the committee from discussing or taking actions brought up by your comments. Do we have any requests for speaker?
I have no written requests. Mia, do we have any callers on the line?
No callers.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
Sorry. Chair, I do have a correction to note. There were a couple missing words on one of the line items. It just needed to clarify that you were appointed as vice chair.
That's good. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion with the corrections, approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, with the change to the presentation, we're going to do D2 as a report.
Thank you, and I do have a PowerPoint presentation to bring up on the screen.
And this is a downtown revitalization plan overview, correct?
That is correct. This
Okay.
was a great opportunity for me as a new staff member, too, to have an excuse or a reason to dive into this plan and learn it back to front as best as I could in the last week or so,
Yeah, and-
preparing for this.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because I know we had a lot of new members also it was 2 months ago, we had our last meeting. But I did see when the downtown plan was sent out to all the new members, so they did have an opportunity to review it. But this overview will be good because, believe it or not, people do watch these meetings, which are being taped and are on the website. So this is just another way to get the information out to the general public, and appreciate the presentation.
It's my pleasure to do so. And it was difficult to condense, I think it's about a 270-page plan into, a dozen slides or so. So this will be a very high-level overview for that purpose, because I know we don't want to be here until tomorrow morning. But with that said, we know that downtown Beaumont has long served as a cultural and historic center of Beaumont. And that all shifted really a block north. The historical cultural center of the town shifted a block north when the Interstate 10 was built, which sort of changed the geographic landscape of the business hub. This is a map. It's a little blurry on screen, so I apologize for that. We can provide higher resolution versions of it. But this is an overview of some of the detail shots that you're going to see in future presentation slides. But note the boundaries here. It's roughly from Pennsylvania Avenue to the east, Vale to the west, and then really the reach of about a block on either side of Beaumont Avenue up north to 11th. The color coding on here is interesting too. It's color coded. You'll see some lime green. Those are underutilized parcels that are maybe vacant or they're minimally used. Some lime green to yellow are underutilized again, or maybe they're only used for parking right now. If you see something that's bright blue about the color of my jacket, those are things that are considered real strategic locations within downtown. And so they're prime opportunities. And again, you'll see some of this a little bit bigger in future slides. So the vision, the whole point of this plan was to create a downtown that was vibrant and walkable and had a mix of uses. We want people living in downtown who can walk directly from their homes to the businesses and food outlets that are there. It creates a real vibrant space that feels welcoming to everybody, whether you live here or whether you're visiting here. Sort of the core principles behind this: equity and inclusion, resiliency, community-centered development, and incremental and adaptive growth. Thinking about that incremental and adaptive piece especially, there are things that we can do as short-term wins in the very near term, and then there's a much longer vision for out 5, 10, even 20 years. So the purpose, really, to reestablish downtown Beaumont as the heart of the city, but not just in its name, not just by calling it downtown Beaumont, not just by calling it the heart of the city, but really to have it be that in spirit as well. So the goals of all of this: economic vitality. And as Economic Development Committee members, I probably don't need to explain to you what this means, but this is when downtown businesses are not just surviving, but they are thriving. And they are obviously thriving. That's really a great objective. Placemaking. So right now, when residents or visitors go to downtown, do they necessarily know that they've arrived in downtown? We want people to have that immediate feeling of having arrived in the heart of our downtown. Mobility and access. That is a downtown that prioritizes people, whatever their mode of transportation, over just cars. Historic preservation. Beaumont has a rich history, and we know that we can honor it even as we upgrade and elevate downtown for this modern era that we're in. And then community engagement. I have a later slide on this as well, but I want to acknowledge and emphasize that engagement will be ongoing. This plan, all 200 and some odd pages of it, it's not just a document, but it's a living, breathing thing. So focus areas, you can see the numbers on here. They all correspond with a specific area and type of focus. One that's not listed on here is number 5, and that refers to several opportunity parcels that are considered ideal for maybe combining and turning into compact single-family housing. So looking at focus area 1, Grace Avenue, the old Beaumont Cleaners Building and the historic City Hall / school district building. These make up a wonderful destination opportunity, particularly because traffic does not cut through. It ends there, and it's nice to keep it that way because then it's just a nice place. Cars are in there either because they're parking or they're accessing a parking lot, so there's no high speed. So it's a nice area that can be combined for pedestrian uses and that very light vehicular traffic. The 6th Street corridor, that is hard to pronounce all at once. You're looking here at 6th and Edgar. You'll notice sidewalk, crosswalk, and intersection improvements. Here you've got 6th and Magnolia. This is an underutilized, regarded as a strategic location. And we see that there's opportunity there. From the plan, they determined that there's great opportunity for mixed use, including housing over retail. So you get that real nice density when you do something like that. This is a roundabout at 6th and California. The high visibility here makes this a great long-term opportunity. It's a very highly visible corner. And then another roundabout concept at 6th and Palm. And you'll notice that all of the pedestrian-friendly streetscaping and landscaping here. Beaumont Avenue. If you can see where number 3 is there, it's a little hard to see. But there are vacant house lots at 8th and Beaumont. This is the property that has real nice existing shade trees on it already. There's an opportunity here for residential and commercial as they both it faces both Beaumont and Euclid. and another on Beaumont Avenue. The 7th Street on the left of the screen there, 8th Street on the right. And this is running in between 6th and 7th. Our civic core, an area that we are all very familiar with because here we sit. The plan noted that this area is very well utilized currently, but there are still possibilities to elevate the use of the property. Included in that were a possible new city hall, which you see kind of at the top of the screen. The community center could potentially be this building in the future. So 2 adaptive reuses. There's a town square plaza in between those 2 buildings. The community memorial, which really already exists in front of City Hall. And then creative retail food and beverage concepts across Orange Avenue, where there's a parking lot right now. And then creating some shared parking under a future public parking deck to really make a lot of places where people can. The objective would be for them to be able to park once and then walk to many places. So as I mentioned before, there are both short-term things to be done, mid-term things to be done, and long-term things to be done. I'll note that some of the short-term things are really kind of already starting to happen, pop-ups and events. You know, Beaumont Nights, I think, really falls into one of these short-term actions, something that we're going into the 2nd season for right now. These are precisely the kind of activations that we want to make easy because, or easier than they already are, because of the configuration of the streets, sidewalks, and the way they all work together. Another short-term thing is the sidewalk project proposed that you're going to be looking at in the next presentation today. So what is the role of our department in all of this? In the short term, it's really to promote public-private partnerships, to support catalytic projects like the Grace Avenue campus, get out there and promote the many, many incentive programs that Beaumont has to offer, like the facade improvement programs, to really begin to elevate the basic appearance of some of the buildings in downtown. And a business incubator like the Pass Area Biz Hub, that's what we're calling it for short, the Business Resource Center, that is very close to coming to fruition too. And that's going to be a fantastic resource for small businesses, whether they're looking to maybe move into Beaumont, whether it's a person just with an idea to start somewhere in Beaumont, whether it's in downtown or not. And then for existing business owners to learn tips, tricks, and tools to help them operate better, more profitably, so that they can do more to promote themselves. A lot of what was in the downtown plan involved focusing on how buildings and public spaces could work together. Street improvements, sidewalk improvements, additional shade, both for pedestrians and for community spaces, things like that. It all goes to create a more welcoming and walkable downtown. Streamlined permitting, we talk about this a lot, making it faster and easier for businesses and developers to get started. And that is one of the things that Kirk and I have been tasked with, is to make that process a much more collaborative, interdepartmental process, so that business owners or developers aren't told to go talk to one person and then another person and then another person in serial. They get to maybe do it all at once or have one point of contact who can help coordinate everything for them. And then business support programs, like I just mentioned, that we're going to be able to offer out of the Pass Biz Hub. I mentioned earlier community engagement. The Downtown Revitalization Plan was shaped by a whole lot of community outreach. There were over 1,000 survey responses, and as someone who knows how hard it is to get anyone to fill out a survey, that is an incredible number. So it is really, I think, an asset in itself that so many people had input to provide to this plan. That is an extraordinary response rate. There were pop-up events, there were in-person events here at City Hall, interviews and workshops. All of that gauged this plan and what was in it. So it did not come just from a consultant in the cloud. It really was developed with the input of stakeholders locally in mind. Here are some of the ways that we're going to be able to measure success, and we're very excited about being able to do that. An increase in the downtown occupancy rate. We want to see fewer vacant storefronts in downtown, because having a density of businesses where you can walk not from one and then skip 4 storefronts and then go to the next business. You want to be able to walk from one to one to one to do your afternoon shopping on the weekend. We want to see an increase in the number of facade or small business improvement grants that are awarded. And now that we have a fully staffed economic development team, we are going to be able to market the heck out of those programs so that everyone knows that they can take advantage of them. We want to see increased attendance at the community events that we do downtown, increase the square footage of new housing and mixed-use development. And then, again, continuing with that ongoing engagement piece, via surveys, we can collect information on people's perception of downtown. Is it changing over time? And we hope that it does. So next steps, as we've already been doing, we're going to be prioritizing projects for early wins, securing funding to help do all of this, and really securing appropriate interested development partners to move forward on some of these strategic properties that have been highlighted through the plan, and then just keep the momentum going. And again, now that we have a fully staffed economic development team and we have Gus here to help bear some of the load that Elizabeth has been carrying, we really finally, I think, have the resources to begin to maintain this momentum and actually turn that flywheel. And that is all I have. I will happily take any questions, and I will do my best to answer them.
That was a very excellent presentation. I get excited when I hear these, especially the abbreviated ones, because they hit to the point, they get right to the point of what we're doing here, or trying to do in downtown Beaumont. And I really think you're moving in the right direction when you say you have to put the pedal to the metal, so to speak, and keep the momentum going, because there is a lot of momentum. A lot of people who have moved here in recent years, who have moved here 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they want to see the downtown redeveloped. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's nice to have the outlying areas around Home Depot and out in that area, and that's kind of exciting too. But I think the heart of a city, the downtown itself, is something that people would like to see fully developed. And I think they'd support it if restaurants and those types of amenities came here. I know I would. I would come downtown. I don't want to go to Redlands. I don't want to go to Moreno Valley. I want to come to downtown Beaumont. I want to spend my money here in Beaumont. And I think a lot of people would feel that same way. So from the members of the committee, do we have any questions on this presentation?
Sir, before you do so, we'd like for the record to point, we have a committee member that arrived at 428. Name of the committee member? Jason Doyle, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
Chair, I just have a quick comment. Just have a quick comment.
You have a comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to thank again for the update, because even though we've been deeply involved with it, it is good for council to also hear and remind ourselves, because there are some of the things that it's like, oh yeah, I remember now. So I appreciate that, and I was glad that you had the opportunity to do this, because I was hoping that the department would have a chance to get together and look through it and kind of take a crash course on it. So I appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the implementations as we go forward. And I know that we have started a lot of the implementation, since we're in that first short-term process right now. But I'm excited. You know, I always like to see more and more and more, but I know things take a while to materialize. So, but now that we have a department working, thank you, Ms. Gibbs, for getting that established for us. And I look forward to hearing how you can comment on this in the future as well. So thank you for that, and for everyone. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I got to turn my microphone on. The update of projects from city staff, we had an issue last meeting, at our last meeting, about the painted crosswalks in downtown Beaumont. And this is a follow-up discussion on that proposal.
Good afternoon, committee members. Joseph Kale, Management Analyst. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a follow-up on a topic discussed during our last meeting on February 12th on painted crosswalks in our downtown. Following the committee's interest, staff has worked diligently to gather the necessary data and coordinate with contractors to evaluate potential designs, costs, and the long-term effectiveness of painted crosswalks in enhancing pedestrian safety and calming traffic. Our proposed crosswalk design is an interpretation of the American flag. It integrates red, white, and blue thermoplastic elements that are not only visually striking, but have also been shown in studies to support traffic calming through increased driver awareness. The focus of our design approach was longevity and ease of maintenance, ensuring that we offer a cost-effective and durable solution for our community. We received proposals from 3 reputable contractors. Their estimates for installing painted crosswalks at selected intersections, including 7th Street and Beaumont Avenue and 6th Street and Beaumont Avenue, range as follows. We had Creative Paving Solutions at approximately $49,923. Superior Pavement Markings, Inc. at approximately $56,448. CalStripe, Inc. at approximately $66,975. The price differences are primarily due to material scope variations and additional services such as traffic control or site prep. All proposed designs will utilize thermoplastic, which is a highly durable material that withstands weather and heavy traffic. Thermoplastic can be pressure washed to maintain cleanliness, reducing the need for frequent repainting. Because we're enhancing existing crosswalks rather than adding new ones, the impact on the city's ongoing maintenance budget is expected to be minimal. Now, regarding the effectiveness, in Miyazaki, Japan, red and white painted crosswalks led to a 15% increase in driver compliance with pedestrian right-of-way laws. In Lancaster, California, similar painted crosswalks contributed to a 20% reduction in vehicle speeds and a 10% increase in drivers yielding to pedestrians. And a national study done by Bloomberg Philanthropies found that asphalt art projects like painted crosswalks resulted in 50% fewer crashes involving pedestrians or vulnerable users, 37% fewer injury-related crashes, and a 25% decrease in pedestrian vehicle conflicts. This is compelling, data-driven support that painted crosswalks are more than an aesthetic improvement, that they are a proven tool for public safety. Today, we're asking for your feedback on the proposed design, contractor estimates, and supporting research. Your input will guide the final recommendations to be brought forward to City Council for consideration. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions and hear your thoughts.
Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any questions for the presenter?
Actually, I do, Chair. May I?
Yes.
Couple of quick questions. One, for the future, for us visual people, it's always nice to see a visual because I can't picture what it looks like. So describe it to me. When we're looking at sidewalks, are we looking at the full length? Is that what we're talking about? The width and length of the whole sidewalk? And then confirm again what those sidewalks are you referring to. I got 6th and Beaumont, but I missed the other one. Oh, is it?
Page 14.
I didn't see an attachment. No. Okay, so while I look that up, remind me again on the, oh, I see.
Yes,
Okay, so I apologize. I do see it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm showing my age. Again, Beaumont and 6th, and what was the other one, Beaumont?
yeah, so it was on Beaumont and 6th, getting into downtown, and then also the 2 sidewalks on 7th Street. The northern most sidewalk on Beaumont Ave on Beaumont and 8th, that is sort of a whole intersection cohesive design, so those ones aren't included in this. So it's just the 2 on 7th and then the 1 on 6th in Beaumont.
I just, point of clarification, we're talking about crosswalks, not sidewalks.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody keeps saying sidewalks.
So 6th and Beaumont, and then there's 2 on 7th. Okay, all right, that's all I have for now. Thanks, Chair. Street.
Any other further questions?
I just have just one question. Is there like any specific reason as to why on Beaumont Ave and 6th that the sidewalk mural, I guess you could say, wasn't mirrored on all directions of traffic? Because it's only on just one direction. It's not, mirrored on all sides of traffic.
We can do that. The reason why I left it to these 3 in particular is because they're within the Market Night area specifically. But depending on direction, we can do a concept that incorporates an entire intersection.
Yeah, I was just asking that because I felt like, it would just look a little bit weird to have one painted sidewalk and everything else looks raggedy. You know what I mean? So I felt like, if we're going to do an intersection and there's 3 crosswalks, why would we only paint 1? It kind of just looked like a halfway job.
I would also just like to point out, based on the previous presentation, there is plans for that entire intersection to be redone in the future. So.
Is there any possibility of doing just one complete? So we get a real good idea, not only a visual from a presentation, but actual visual from our eyes when we drive up and down the street. I mean, is there any, instead of doing coupled intersections, is there any way to, and doing it kind of partially, is there any way to do just one complete intersection?
We could do 8th and Beaumont. That would be a complete, all 4.
That'd be all
Yeah.
4 complete.
7th Street doesn't have crosswalks crossing Beaumont Avenue.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an idea, and it kind of goes along with what you were saying. And I think it would be, I'm personally, to be honest with you, I'm not really a big fan of these kinds of things, but I understand they do have a potential to decrease accidents and vehicle accidents and pedestrian accidents as well. But I could be sold on it if you did I don't want to call it I don't know. I don't want to say we just do one and then nobody likes it and then we don't do any others, because that's not the idea. But I think if we had one complete one, it would help maybe get more or additional ones, because people could see, this is really great, it looks great, and let's have one on this intersection, let's have one on this other intersection. It's just an idea. And would that be less costly initially, if you just did one complete one?
So a complete crosswalk, like you're describing, would include 4, which would raise the cost slightly, likely. But those give a general estimate for what it would look like for 3. So I would just increase the cost by about 25% to do a complete intersection.
Okay.
I think the benefit, going off of your idea, to doing 8th and Beaumont Avenue is it's a stop sign. 6th and Beaumont Avenue is a major thoroughfare with multiple traffic signals. And so if we wanted to start with a 4-way intersection, my thought is start with a stop sign where people, there's more pedestrian traffic on 8th and Beaumont than 6th and Beaumont.
That makes sense too. I mean, anyway, something to think about. Any other discussions, questions? Yes.
So is the goal, like the end goal, to do all of the crosswalks, or is it just gonna be this, you know, the little marketplace area?
So if I remember correctly from committee discussion, it seemed that the goal was to bring attention and safety to downtown specifically. That was the direction that we were given.
Okay. I'm just asking, because I know like Beaumont Avenue has multiple stop signs out, you know, it's going all the way across, and it would just be helpful, I mean, with all of those stop signs, I feel like.
Mr. Chair, could I add a
Yes,
staff
please.
comment? I think these are all very good comments, and just want to bring the conversation back to the larger presentation too, that ultimately the plan is to have hardscape and landscape and significant improvements on Beaumont Avenue and a variety of areas. Whereas this is sort of an interim, I don't want to say cosmetic, but an interim aesthetic improvement to sort of create a measure of place, because we have activities and events and things like that. So whether you did 4 sides of 1 on 8th, as the city manager suggested, or what is depicted in the here, having a 6th is sort of a gateway, if you will, to Beaumont going north and the activity that happens there. So all of them are good ideas, but I think this is more of an interim piece to bring some sense of aesthetic improvement.
Can I have some?
Yes.
All right,
Can I make
so-
a comment?
Go
That'd
ahead.
be okay.
Comment? Yes.
Thanks for putting this together. I think I would just echo the same thing too. I do see it as subconsciously like a teaser for the community to what this place could become. And I think that whether it was this or maybe landscaping, sidewalk improvements, it has to be something that starts having people notice that this is going to be a downtown district. So I do think it's a good idea too to draw attention to this area. So.
So Chair, if I may, just a couple of things. The fiscal part of me, you know, a little trouble swallowing the numbers. So let's take a look at, I know that we had talked about like community art, and I saw the part of the presentation that had that. And I know recently I was reading articles about issues where you have members of the public do art, and, you know, that has to do with prevailing wage thing and stuff like that, if we're paying for it. And that's another thing we'll talk about probably at council. But what I'm question is, in order to look at that number, had we thought about using community artists or local artists to do things to try to get that number down and still bring the aesthetics and the focus without the expense? Now, I know one of the issues is the paint, because, you know, they're not going to be using that unless they could. I don't know anything about art, but I'm just wondering, is that an option, or is that really out of the scope of what we're trying to do?
Committee member, before we go forward, just for the record, I want to identify committee member Jessica Voigt is here with us now.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that is definitely a possibility. This direction was presented because, as the committee pointed out in our last meeting, the durability concerns, the maintenance concerns, the data-driven effectiveness concerns. So that's why we decided to go this route. If we wanted to go, we could go as fiscally conservative with this project as inviting the local high school to come and paint what's there, if we wanted to. We could go that route if we want to really reduce the cost to being as minimal as possible. So,
Well, and the only reason I think is because we're not quite at the full level yet. So we're still looking for the hardscape, and we're still looking for other components to go along with it. So I'm just wondering if it might be better to do something of this scope and number when we have more that goes with it. So it doesn't, I won't use your term, but so that it doesn't look kind of hodgepodge or mismatch. I don't know. You know, I'm willing to have the council listen and take it to that level. Sure, if the committee thinks that, you know, there needs more discussion, but I'm just thinking of different options. You know, if we do something of the local level for now to get the interest and so forth and the focus, and then as we get closer to doing more street light or planners or whatever we're doing for hardscape as well, then we might go into that bigger level of numbers. I don't know. It's just, this is the number thing for me.
I want to just bring this up really quickly. I did ask about exactly what you're asking about, locality and getting a community to do things like this, because obviously getting a contractor, getting a quote, there's a lot of loopholes that you have to go through. So I kind of proposed this a little while back ago. I think about in December when we first brought this up. Ms. Floyd had brought this up. I basically just proposed that we could do something with the community, with the art department. There's a lot of skilled artists that we have at the school that will be completely available to do something like this, as long as they're provided with the adequate material.
Is there any possibility, I kind of like that idea, but I know that paint deteriorates very quickly with rain, hot, cold, etc. But there are a lot of good paints out there if you know what you're doing. And I think if you almost had like somebody who would be willing to bring their expertise in to advise on the quality of paint being used to withstand these kind of conditions, so that we're not out there repainting it every 6 months. That might be a way to cut this bill considerably in half, if not further, by using the local artists. And in reality, when you think about it, that could give a lot of publicity to the city. We might even get NBC or CBS to come out here and say, hey, look what these students are doing for their city. Who knows? But I think we could accomplish that with maybe possibly getting the students involved. But you need somebody that had the expertise to say you have to use this kind of paint, and you have to coat it this way, you have to seal it this way, and it'll last you 2 years. You have to do it again. I mean, you have to get somebody like that knows what they're talking about. But no, I think that'd be a good avenue to pursue. Any further comments?
Could we possibly ask one of the contractors to come in as like a consultant type of thing and say, hey, can you help out the high school? And maybe they can do it that way. And I think to your point in the beginning where you said you weren't really sold on the crosswalks, that this might be, it might be the initiation of like, okay, whoa, it really does look good. Maybe in a couple years we go for, with the contractor.
Yeah, that could be an incentive for the contractor. You might get some business if you come in and help us this time around. Anyway, no, I'm not.
Would the committee consider, when I took art lessons, I always had something in front of me to follow, to mirror as I'm painting. Would the committee consider something such as starting with a contractor that paints the 4 crosswalks and then bring in the students to say, this is the goal, this is what we want, what can you come up with? We can provide the supplies, but painting asphalt is very different than painting a home or, painting on canvas. And so I think if we start with an example for them to follow, I think it would go over much better with the students than just blindly putting them in the street and saying, here's your canvas. That's my thought, because we would need special paint and we would need, like you said, maybe potentially sealing it. But if we start with the example, I think it would go a lot farther in having students at the high school mirror that.
One of the other ideas that we had was there is actually a digital design CDE track at the high school. And we could even do a contest or have them do design and conceptual, so we don't even have to hire a contractor for some of that. And we could reduce costs that way if we wanted to utilize the digital design aspect and then also the physical artist as well.
Okay. All great ideas. What's the committee's desire? Do we have some more great ideas here?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring back to the point of having a contractor when you said that you were concerned about cost and getting a full intersection done. So I did a little bit of quick math on the fly here. It's $26 per square feet for superior pavement. So the original cost would have been about $20,000 on East 6th Street, I believe. So times 4, that's about $80,000. So it will bring you up closer to the $100,000 range. And to bring it back to the construction and 3D printing classes, they've done things like this before. We have a shed. I don't know if anybody's been to the school, but right by the office, there's a shed. It's been painted. It's been built. We built that brick by brick, and the whole entire construction, students have done it, and not to mention the fact that the parking lot at the school is painted. So back to, what you brought up about how getting asphalt done correctly is a task, but it's been done before by ordinary, everyday high school seniors. So I feel like getting the asphalt painted isn't the problem. The problem is providing adequate materials to work with.
If I could just add to that, there's a process with the thermoplastic when it's laid on the asphalt. It needs a really professional application. So it's a little different than painting a wall, for instance. But again, if you have someone do the artwork and then provide that to the contractor, it's similar to when you have mechanical equipment out there and they wrap it. They take the artist's drawings, they turn it into a wrap, and then they put it on the mechanical equipment, as you've seen in other cities. So there could be a similar application with the contractor if we can get them the artwork. But again, for the students or for the artists to paint on the asphalt, I don't think that's practical.
Yeah, I want to jump in as this was kind of a suggestion that I brought to the team and to the committee here. I love the concept. I think that what you guys have created is, something that would draw the eye. And I think that the focus isn't necessarily for me, just the design. It's also the impact that it makes. So the slowing down of the traffic, the public safety, the risk mitigation. So while yes, it's probably an upfront cost, it does allow us to have risk mitigation on the back. Now, I don't know of a lot of auto peds or things along those lines that happen around these intersections, but I do know that we have a downtown market that is now being expanded for a longer period of time within this area. And so this also helps to designate a safety area for this event. And I think that that safety component can't be lost here either with the goal of this, because I don't know if you can really put a dollar amount on safety. And so that's one thing that I want to continue to push a little bit. The other thing is that with the lines, the way that they are proposed here, if you notice throughout the community, the school crosswalks are painted in a similar fashion. So this allows consistency throughout the community. So it's not too big or drastic of a change. And correct me or not, does the city currently paint those crosswalks?
Yes, for the streets that we do maintenance on, there is one school, Starlight Elementary, where we have not accepted those streets, and so the contractor did those to match what the city did, but the city does the rest of the school areas.
So is there an opportunity, since this follows similar fashion, let's say we didn't do the Beaumont logo that was on there and it was just the red, white, and blue. Is there an opportunity that the city could do that, seeing as we already perform this similar design? The only difference is instead of it having orange paint, it would now be red, white, and blue. So I don't know if this is an option or would be an option, but may help with the cost-saving component of it, and just be able to highlight from a different perspective.
We could certainly explore that, yes.
Yeah.
Are you saying the city that now paints, the city personnel that now paint the crosswalk areas do the painting of this red, white, and blue?
Yeah. Yeah, correct. It may help with some cost savings. I mean, obviously, we're going to have some cost of the supplies themselves, but and the manpower has to be allocated towards this as well. But.
And I would only ask to quantify what that is so that we don't violate the Public Works contract code.
Understood.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we have a lot of options here. So I think this whole presentation was to kind of come up with these options and ideas so that the city council can wrestle with them. You like that, guys?
We appreciate that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. No, it was a great discussion. I think there's a lot of a lot of good that will come out of this, and I don't know if we need a motion. We have two representatives from council here. I'm sure they can, and staff can present the ideas that have been tossed about appropriately. So I don't really think we need a motion on this item.
I would just
receive and file as information.
It's whatever the staff members would prefer. If you want a direction, specific direction, we can do a motion, but if you just want to take collectively the ideas, I have them written down.
If we could narrow it a little bit, because we've talked a lot about
That's
different
true, that's
ideas.
true, that's
If
true.
the
Well,
committee could come up with a couple different options to present to council and narrow it down, it would be helpful.
Well, I would then entertain a motion, if someone would like to present a motion. Basically, all you have to do is make the motion to do X, and then if we get a second, then we'll discuss it, and then we'll vote on it, so.
Well, maybe I can help kind of guide or narrow it down a little bit. My suggestion, and I could throw it out as a motion, but maybe I'll just throw it out as the committee. But I would think to bring back three options to the council. The way that it's laid out currently, with the contractor being number one and the three options listed underneath it, so that then you could decide what you wanted to do from there. Number two, to explore the option with the community painting it and what risk we take by doing that. And number three would be the city doing the work themselves and ensuring that we aren't violating the terms of, what did you say was Public Works?
The Public Works Contract Code. And before you joined us, Mayor Pro Tem, we were talking about which crosswalks to do. The choices were follow what is in the staff report, do the northbound 6th and Beaumont Avenue crosswalk, and then the 2 on 7th. There was also discussion about choosing one of the intersections, such as 8th Street because it's stop signs, or doing all of the above. So that would be helpful if the committee could at least direct staff to recommend to council on all or some or one.
Yeah, I would, I think in my vision, what I was thinking was that it would go to the stop signs at 8th Street so that all of our Beaumont Nights area was covered for those intersections. But obviously, I think that impacts the cost.
So that's the 1 on 6th, not all 4. Because
Correct.
as I shared with the committee, that is a traffic signal heavy.
Yeah.
So the north
And
on
then the
6th,
south of
and then
8th.
the 2 on 7th,
And then the south of 8th on Beaumont Avenue.
and then the south of 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's my suggestion. I'm absolutely willing to hear more.
So it borders the market night.
Correct. Yeah, no, I think just to kind of add a little bit of context to this, I work in the city of Palm Springs. Palm Springs has, pylons that pop up from a safety perspective. We have taken great strides as a city to ensure that we have barricades at either end, but I think visually also having other things that allows us to slow down during that time frame creates business to visualability, because as you're slowing down to drive past through these, you are looking at those businesses along in this corridor a little bit more. You're paying attention to what's going on. And the goal is really to drive some economic growth and a walkable area in that area as well. And so designating this kind of specific area just reinforces that once again, in my mind.
So, excuse me, how many intersections are we talking about then?
So it's a total of 3 intersections and 4 total crosswalks. And a crosswalk being just a length from one side of Beaumont Avenue to the other. So all of these crosswalks would be going from east to west. It would be, and going north.
7th Street doesn't have Beaumont Avenue crosswalks. It only has 7th
I see what
Street.
you're saying. I see what you're
Right.
saying. Yeah, so the sides would have to be the sides.
So what the Mayor Pro Tem is asking for 3 different options? Is that what we're talking about? The contractor's option, community option, and the city doing the work option, is that correct?
Yes. And either 4 or 1 or a combination of recommendation where we start. Do we do it all, what the report says, Or do we start like at 8th Street with the 4 stop signs? And that's also part of the Market 9 area, isn't it? Pretty much?
If I could just, sorry.
I don't follow where, say that again?
If we did just the 4 at 8th Street, was,
Oh, correct.
yeah. That's
As
part-
opposed to,
Doing.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
excuse me.
No, Mayor Pro Tem, I just want to clarify, I think what you suggested was the south side at 8th, the north side at 6th, and the 2 north-south, sort of bracketing that space, okay?
Correct.
That's, and another option is all 4 legs of 8th Street.
Yeah.
One thing that I did want to point out about 8th Street is that it does currently have a cohesive yellow chevron thermoplastic design across all 4 intersections. So it will be disrupting the current cohesive design of that intersection.
Oh, yeah.
So the motion we're asking is to select, ask the staff to go through those 3 options that our Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, and delineate the pros and negatives of all those 3, and then give that to City Council for their approval or disapproval. Is that correct?
Site
Okay.
locations.
Site location. So anyway, if you need a motion, I make the motion, we do that.
So let me understand the motion. We have, and this motion is to refer these items to the council for deliberation. Okay. First item would be the report and all that it entails with regards to its recommendations. The second would be that we entertain the idea of maybe having local artists, students, whatever, possibly enter the picture with maybe a consultant or somebody working with them to make sure that whatever is painted stays down there for more than 6 months or whatever. And then the third option to present it to the council then would be that staff.
City staff.
Yeah, the staff with the city, if it doesn't violate any rules. And then the fourth component would be
Location.
location. Do we do one? Do we do all? Do we do a combination? And what would you recommend in your motion?
So we are,
As far as location?
yeah, Mr. Chair, we're asking staff to first go through this process and give recommendations to the city council? Is that what we're asking first? Is that part of the motion to do that? If so, yeah. And then report, and then give that report to city council for their review and maybe a vote on that, on those crosswalks.
Yeah, well, yeah, what staff's going to do is they're going to give the council a primer on what this committee discussed regarding this issue. The 4 points basically that we discussed. Do you understand that? Yeah.
But
So the only thing is a location. I
would it be
don't,
helpful if we recommended either or to council? Would that help the committee? If we said, here's the 2 options that the committee discussed, the borders of Market Night or all of the 4 on 8th Street? We could
Yes.
give them those options.
yes, I like that idea. So as far as site selection, we'll give the council, or staff will give the council the options we talked about tonight, whether we do a one or we do basically the whole thing.
Mr. Chair, if I could just for the record, I
Okay.
want to make it clear that we're, in today's discussion, we've sort of, the concept is adding 1 leg. So the cost that you see here would go up in some proportional amount too. So just want to make sure we all understand.
Well, I think when that's already been stated by the presentation, that the cost would increase some 20-25%. So that would be part of the information going to the council as well, so.
Very good, thank you.
Does everyone understand the motion, the 4 components of the motion? Okay. Are you ready to take a vote on it? Is there a second? I don't think I heard a second. Did we have a second on that?
Yes, Chair, I second that
You
motion.
second that motion, okay. Is there any further discussion? Do we need a roll call vote or just a informal?
For the motion on the floor, yes, we'd have to do you can say, all in favor, say aye. Any noes, and then we can go. from there.
Okay, we don't need an individual count. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion, and I get to do this, motion carries.
Yeah,
That was,
it's official. Oh, you broke the desk. Okay, that's another
I
problem.
broke. Oh, thank you very much for your,
Thank you, Joey.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Just as a matter of information, that will go to council on May 6th.
Yeah.
May 6th, okay. Okay, I think that covers the report section of our meeting. We do have reports. Are there any reports from any committee? I don't think we have any committees, so I don't think there'd be any reports from committees.
I did have a question, if I could.
Okay.
Our new people, Laura, this is to you. Do we have any new businesses we can talk about that are coming to our community that we can, and the second half of that question is, do we understand how good or bad our billboards are doing in Beaumont? Sorry.
Sir, we could bring up that report at the next EDC meeting. At this point, we do not have anything to report on that.
Okay, I've just wondered, because we did the billboards, and I wondered how much that's, if we can delineate how that's working, if it's worth the money or not worth the money. I think that's important to the community.
It is a topic that I've discussed with our Economic Development Director and our city manager as well, and as well as Laura, our Economic Development Manager. We are looking at the future inventory count. So we're going to identify everything that's out there in the community in terms of electronic billboards and static billboards, and try to get an idea of how we can use our own city properties, as well as identify existing billboard companies out there that could possibly get rid of some of these static signs
Sure.
in favor of electronic billboards.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, especially with Thursday nights coming up, it's important to get that message out there. Thank you.
Any committee members have any comments or questions? Any topics for future agenda items? Do you want to make that a topic for the report on businesses and stuff? I mean,
Yeah, if that's the topic, absolutely. If you could come back to us with that, with what's happening with those billboards and maybe recommendations on the different, more, less, or a different type of billboards would be great. As well as, I said, if you got any ideas about any new businesses coming in, I report to certain people who are really, means a lot to them to promote our community. So anyway, thank you.
Absolutely, sir. We'll be ready with both of those topics.
okay. Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. Any further items for the good of the order today? Hearing none, I declare the meeting adjourned at 5:12.